All right, so let's return now to one of our top stories this evening, and that's that landmark deal between the transitional government in South Sudan and a number of rebel groups. It was signed on Saturday in the capital, Juba, and it's hoped that it will end decades of conflict in the region and even bring peace to parts of further north like Darfur. Well, joining us now on the line is Sudanese journalist Mohamed Al-Amin. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. Just how significant is this deal that's been signed by the transitional government and these number of rebel groups?
Yes, actually, this agreement which signed on over this weekend in Juba is landmark peace agreement between the transitional government and the rebel movements, which include the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, which for the government in South Kordofan and Blue Nile for a very long time, as well as three rebel groups from Darfur, and it has also included other tracks for Eastern Sudan and as well as middle of Sudan and North. The agreement will going to change the political dynamics in the entire country because it includes the change of the constitutional declaration that ruling the transitional government and the transitional ruling the transitional period. The transitional period itself is going to be extended for another year. That means the general elections will be in 2023, not 2022. It will also include the power sharing for the rebels. That these rebel groups are going to be participated in the government by a quota of 25% in the power, including the Council of Ministers, the Council of the Sovereign Council, and the Transitional Legislative Assembly. It also includes other privileges for these regions regarding the sharing the wealth the share of wealth as well as the federal system. Although there are other groups that still rejecting the peace deal, calling for the secular system in Sudan after the country has been ruled by the Islamic laws for 30 years. And I mean, they have other demands. So the agreement is including many positive points to end the long civil war in Sudan, but still some groups, I mean, there are still some refusals to the agreement itself.
Let's talk about those rebel groups that have stayed outside of this agreement. How big and influential are they? I mean, can they still be a problem? Or are there so many people in agreement that perhaps these other groups may be forced to come to the table?
Yes, actually, the group who are outside are big groups. Actually, it's the Sudan People's Liberation Movement (SPLM) North, that led by Abdulaziz Al-Hilu, who is fighting the government in the Nuba Mountains, and there is therefore Sudan Liberation Movement (SLM), which led by Abdul Wahid Noor. Those groups are big groups, and they are still have many conditions that they are calling for secular system in Sudan, as I said, and they don't. They don't accept the federal system. That the degree, the level of the federal system that granted in the agreement. Other grassroots in Eastern Sudan are also rejecting the agreement because yesterday and today there were big protests in the eastern of the country, in the coastal city of Port Sudan on the Red Sea, and the protesters just today closed the majority of the shut down the majority of the operations in the only port of Sudan. So although the agreement is.
Hello, Mohammed, are you still there?
Yes.
Yes. All right. I just wanted to know, if my memory serves me correct, even during the time that the South was busy trying to break away from the North, there were always ethnic tensions in the South. And I just wonder, have these been dealt with, or do they still continue to be a concern?
There are actually concerns because these groups, as I said, are big groups, and there is tension in the war those areas among the rebels themselves, because the groups who are rejecting the agreement now, they are resisting the implementation of the agreement itself. So that's one of the main concerns. Regarding the implementation of the agreement itself on the ground.
So what is the government saying, the transitional government saying about a way forward, to bring all these other groups into play, and this timeline that you described?
Yes, the peace talks and the negotiation will continue, and even the transitional government has given some good signs to these to those refusals, because like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, the government has signed principle of declaration with the SPLM North, granting the secular system for Sudan. The secularism and Islamism of Sudan is becoming the main question now for lasting the peace, because the groups who are rejecting the agreement believe that this is the main question of stabilizing the peace in the country and ending the domination of the center of the country to the areas to the rural areas and what become called in Sudan the marginalized areas. This constitutional change become very essential for lasting the peace in the country and convince the groups who are rejecting the peace to back to the negotiation table.